I'm Dr. Brandy.
I'm Dr. Joe.
And you're in for a
hell of a ride.
Everything life, love, and legacy.
Yes, yes. Buckle up.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
I'm Dr. Brandy.
I'm Dr. Joe.
And you're in for
a hell of a ride.
Everything life, love, and legacy. You buckled up?
Let's ride.
You ready to ride?
Let's ride. Let's do
go. I'm down for a road trip.
All right. You had to get your energy up. You was kind of low.
Look, I've been traveling. I've been working my behind off.
Well, you here now. You got to be on.
I'm on.
All right, here we go. Let's do it. So let's jump right into it.
What's your weather report while you talking mess?
My weather report, calm. Cool.
You was listening to your gospel playlist this morning.
Just in my vibe.
You was like, ooh.
Yeah, just in my vibe. I got a nice little workout in this morning. It was a minor one, good stretch. Steam room, got in the pool. It was nice and cold.
That's the way to start the day.
So I'm good. That's so nice and calm.
I woke up 20 minutes ago. No, I'm kidding. What?
I ain't said nothing. You said 20 minutes. I
was longer than
That's
that.
cap.
Yeah, it's longer than that. No, I've been up.
But what about yours? What's your weather report?
My weather report, it's nice. It's sunny. I just was in some frigid weather. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to be back in a warmer climate.
Yeah. Well, that's where we are.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get right into this thing.
Let's do it.
We got a interesting dialogue today.
Yeah.
But what's top of mind for you to kind of,
you know what? So this is the thing. I don't know.
How you don't know what's top of mind? Like anything. You don't even have to like just what's at the top of your mind. Like be honest.
Me all the time.
There you go. And why?
All the time. She's top of my mind. The listeners are like, it's so funny. Somebody was telling a friend of mine, there's like 3 or 4 degrees of separation. And the friend was telling the friend, how's Gammy? And my friend was like, how do you even know Gammy? And she was like, oh, I watch Hell of a Ride. So thank you, everybody that's checking in and asking about Gammy. She's become quite popular. But yeah, so I have been traveling for work for the last week. So I haven't really been around. And within just 1 week, it just seems like things are getting pretty rough.
It could be like that. It could be
I don't know. So that's on my mind a little bit.
Yeah. No, rightfully so. I think, in this process, I mean, we always talk about how strong Gammy is. We didn't know if she would be here. It's almost like a year later.
It's almost been a year.
Yeah. So.
And we did not expect that.
Yeah. So, but sometimes to see her, you kind of can just see, because sometimes it's the will, right?
Right.
It's keeping somebody here. But man, I don't like to see her in that state.
I know. So yeah, that's obviously top of mind. I think what else? That's really it right now. I think I'm just kind of chilling.
All right.
What about you?
I think what's top of mind for me, I have a lot of traveling coming up. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited for that. But one of the things I'm really excited about is I get to take JoJo to a songwriting camp with Rico Love.
Yeah,
right?
that'll be great.
Rico Love, he done wrote for Beyonce, everybody, right? And so,
shout out Rico Love.
Yeah, he from my hometown, so I knew him growing up. But at the end of the day, I think the experience that my 11-year-old son is about to get with these adults. I ain't leaving the room because I don't drop my kids off in entertainment spaces. That ain't what we do.
Yeah, we've learned that lesson.
But real talk. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him to just add to his craft that I think he already naturally has, and so that's top of mind for me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And I think the other top of mind is just life. I think the stuff that we've been through and going through currently. It never, like my brain, I have to intentionally like slow my mind down and shut things off. But with that said, we here. You see my eyes? We here.
Very creepy. I'm straight off that energy. Don't be throwing that energy over here.
Hey, we here. You ready?
No.
Are you ready to ride?
No, I'm not riding where you going. Yeah, let your Uber driver show up looking like that. Nope.
All right, but no, we gonna jump into it. This drawer keep opening. It's all good.
It sure does.
Let's jump into it because I think like I took a couple of notes.
I mean, everybody always wants to talk about relationships. I mean, it's the thing. And what I loved about our last episode was that we spent time talking about friendships.
For sure.
And that was to me, that was a really good episode.
Well, I think sometimes you don't realize how much, and your comparison was like friendship to marriage. Right?
There were parallels there.
There's a lot of parallels. And I think that you don't realize how much goes into actually having a friend, being a friend, keeping a friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think today, as we jump into this, I think that we spoke a little bit about the phrase, till death do us part.
Right.
And what the hell does that mean?
It's very literal, if you ask me.
I mean, think about it.
It's a biblical sentiment, though. Like, isn't it derived from biblical kind of orientation to relationship? Like, when you get married and you take your vows, I'm most familiar with more of a Christian orientation.
Okay. You heathen. Go ahead.
Anywho, so... Yeah, so that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
I got you.
But I feel like it's very literal. Till death do you part.
Okay. Yes. Or one of the things that I heard, and I love this pastor, his name is Rob Bell, right? And he said, too many people read the Bible
in a literal way?
Too literally instead of literally, like a poem. Right? Like it's not everything is actually happening the way that, right? It's more like describing in a way where it's poetic. You know what I'm saying? So
but don't you feel like that's tricky too? Because then you, just like poetry and music, you can interpret it however you want to interpret it.
But don't they do that with the Bible?
That's probably why we got all these problems.
You know what I'm saying? They interpret it the way they want. But I think like one can say till death do us part means till death, till you die or till I die. Right? Or it could mean until that particular relationship that you had is no longer viable for either person. And so do you actually... That
was a nice little loophole right there. You just made up. Nah, that's not what that means.
No, but I'm asking you, if you interpret it, right? If we're saying this comes from Bible or like more of a Christian mindset in terms of till death do us part, if someone interpreted that way, could you get with that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't directly. By the way, I was thinking. I was
blinking
thinking.
your eyes like.
We have such a low tolerance for thinking. I think that I don't necessarily ascribe to my relationship.
Ascribe?
Like align. Okay. I think that my relationship to my religion or spirituality, myself, has changed a lot over the years. Okay. And I can't say I've really sat and thought about this in a deep way until right now. So I'm not sure, but I feel like the sentiment is very literal. I feel like if I am going to manipulate what that means, then that means I don't believe in that.
So let me ask you this question. If you think about the people who you've known throughout your life who broke up or got divorced.
Right.
If they did, let's just stay with the married ones.
Right, okay.
If they would have stuck with each other till death do us part, well, how do you think they would have been?
Miserable. And then somebody was going to get got.
Right.
That's why there's this show Snap.
It wasn't going to be until death. It was going to be until somebody kills somebody.
Yeah. Ooh, that's not funny. That's dark.
But I mean, but it's the reality though, right? And not killing like sometimes a physical way, but you can kill like somebody's spirit. their soul.
And that's what part of
their-
why some of them ain't together. But
Yeah.
look, this is the thing. But what I'm saying is, and this is an assumption, I haven't done this research, but if I were to sit with people that have been married and divorced, and they got married under the guise, under the value or the
like Christianity,
yeah. And it was and they did the vows till death do us part, sickness and health, richer or poor, blah 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 blah, death do us part, and then they got a divorce. I don't think they would be sitting like, well, like orienting the definition. I think they would be saying, well, that didn't work out. Like it really, we couldn't, it's irreconcilable differences. We couldn't meet that goal or whatever. I think they would say, they wouldn't like change the definition. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what does it mean for you?
I think that I don't honestly feel like I believe in that. I feel like, ooh.
This better be good. You oohing and on.
I'm getting where you're going.
Okay.
Because I believe even if you're not together in a romance-oriented relationship, once you commit to a person, you are my family.
Okay.
So, like, we could take us, for example. That's the easiest thing to do. Even if we are no longer together if we ever choose to not be together in a romantic way, like romance love,
yeah,
you're still my person. Like, you're still my family. So I feel like I do have a commitment to you.
Your person or your family?
My family.
Your family, okay.
I do feel like I have a commitment to you no matter what, till death do us part. So even if we weren't married anymore, if you needed something or you're on your deathbed or like something's going on, I feel like I'm still I will always be committed to show up for you.
So it wouldn't be your duty, but it'd be your loyalty to me in terms of,
yeah,
I'm always family.
You're always family. But I feel like it's a duty too. Like, I feel like that's
Okay.
what you do for your people, no matter what.
Okay. Let me throw this.
So maybe that.
Can I throw a curveball in there?
But wait, I'm not finished working this out.
Okay.
I'm working this out in real time.
Okay.
Like, but you get what I'm saying? Because you were saying if the context of the statement changes. And I'm like, actually, yeah, that does make sense to me.
Yeah.
Even if you're not romantically connected, I would still try to show up for you.
I got you.
Right?
No.
And
yeah,
so in
I
a
get
way,
it.
that's still till death do you part, in a way.
I got you. And I think that's where when I read it, and not always, but I think as you have experiences, you begin to see things different. It's just almost it's okay. It's just like, when you're younger and they're reading you these scriptures, and you just listen and you believe what they say, and then when you get older, you read the same scripture and you don't see it the same way, right? And so I think as you get older and you have experiences, especially experiences in relationships, till death do us part can evolve. You know what I mean? And what I would say is there is a commitment, like, no matter what, right? Like in the present, one could say, if we're not together romantically, you're still my family, and I would do blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And then,
oh Lord, here he go. Jesus, take the wheel.
No, I'm just saying. And then what happens if you get with somebody else and they're not feeling, oh, that person's always family? Then what you do?
Well, then we're not compatible. So and I could see how that would cause could potentially cause some conflict in a way. Because then it's like you're entering into an intimate connection with someone else, and then you're still putting the other person ahead of that person. I can see how that would feel away.
Yeah.
But I think from a perspective of like values, and then to your point, as you get older, I mean, it's like I think I would imagine that it's appealing to be with someone that you have physical demonstration that this person is always going to be loyal to you. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, wow, I would think that would be an attractive trait. As long as you got to have good boundaries though. So I think that's where it would get like gray. or tricky, because you do have to have boundaries that feel respectful to the new partner. And then the old partner is gonna have to be mature enough to not take those boundaries personal, like to understand why that is.
Yeah.
You know? But I would think that it would be attractive to know, like, this is a person that's gonna really show up for the people they care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense. And I think, you know, especially with like you know, married couples, married with children, there's always some type of connection there. And I think, like you said, the boundaries, right, has to be, you know, on point. But I think the other part is that as the children get older, do those things adjust and like kind of like evolve themselves? I don't know if adjust is adjust. Like, do you adjust the way that looks? Do
you remember that that controversy years ago? I don't want to mess this up, y'all, so I might be wrong, but do you remember the controversy a couple years ago? It was like the housewives of something. I can't remember what show it was. And the woman was dating a guy, and I guess his adult children were always coming in the way of the relationship.
Okay.
And so the woman that he was involved with now was like, fuck them kids. Remember that? Do you remember that? Everybody says that. Everybody remembers.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Hashtag fuck them kids?
No, but easy.
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
I'm referencing a story.
We're gonna have to beep some of them out, though. You know.
Hashtag kiss. No, I'm just. Okay. I'm referencing a story.
You're referencing a story, but listen. Okay.
Anyways. Hashtag beep the kids.
That's it.
Okay.
F the kids. Like, that's, you know,
okay,
goodness
sorry.
gracious.
I'm just sitting in my home having a conversation with
you are. You know.
Sorry. I was just referencing.
I'm trying to get these brand deals. You over here talking
Y'all
about.
getting distracted. My point is, okay.
I'm over here sad, like, dang, she just so much for Walt Disney. So much for so much for the Disney Channel.
All them subliminals they be putting in the movies.
I know,
Stop.
right? You right.
Come on. Stop.
But you gotta get in there first. But
okay.
But Disney wasn't a place that was on my mind. But anyways, go ahead.
I mean, we'll just beep it out, and I was just trying to tell a story. It is a wholesome point that we can get to now.
Let's hear it.
Which is,
You don't even remember what you said.
What is the wholesome point? The wholesome point. Well, the question. It wasn't even a point.
She was talking about the kids. F the kids.
Yeah, she was kind of saying, like, your kids can't keep dictating our intimacy. Like, what are the boundaries here? What are the expectations here? And how do you show up for me and demonstrate respect for me? And you hear that a lot. People that get connected, maybe later in life, and there's some kind of friction or fissure with the kids.
Yeah.
What is the responsibility of the biological parent to like check the kids and put the kids in their place?
Well, let me tell you how difficult that I'm assuming it could be, right? In terms of like, so let's take our kids for example. Our kids will say something like,
they'll have a huge
they'll
problem.
be like, this isn't family time because mommy's not here or because daddy's not here. So unless it's all four, in their mind, it's not family time, right? It's not, and so I think that as they've been programmed, like, this is what family is. This is what it looks like. My biological mama, my biological daddy, my brother, and me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how their mindset. And so if something comes in different, so imagine having that mindset until they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and then now they got to get introduced to somebody else. They looking like, who are you?
Looking sideways.
But what I will say, what I hear from a lot of people is that, it sometimes when there's transition in relationships and there's, somebody new comes in, the kids feel away, but they find their way.
Well, this is one thing. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that is very much our experience with our children, which I think is a beautiful thing. They're very secure in that orientation of family. They're secure in that. But they're secure in other things too. So yes, their perspective is mommy, daddy, me and my brother, right? But they've also been, since very young, exposed to a very intergenerational family.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
they're growing their comfortability around older people. Like in the beginning with Gammy, when she was sick, they were kind of timid and nervous and kind of intimidated by it. Now they have no problems with that. So I think exposure and having conversation around, just how fluid and vast life is, I think that's a part of what helps them to be able to adjust, even if their orientation to something is one particular way.
Yeah.
So even what you said, that's kind of changing a little bit. Like I remember back in the day when you used to travel, they would say that to me. They would be like, I'd be like, oh, family dinner time. And Carter would be like, Daddy's not here. That's not family. Or even now when one of us are gone, they will kind of be like, oh, I wish Daddy was here, or I wish Mommy was here. But with all that said, we make a point of like making sure that they know, somebody at the door. They make a point of like, we make a point of saying, no matter how this looks, we're always family.
Yeah.
Like Daddy's working, so we're still gonna have fun, and we're allowed to still have fun. Daddy would want us to still have fun.
Right.
We're gonna send pictures to him so he could be included in that way.
Yeah.
So we talk about that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. No, that's real.
Or like we're having, we started doing this thing. We tried years ago, like having individual time with the boys. And whenever I would take like Carter out without Joey, the whole time he'd be talking about Joey. Like, this isn't fair because Joey's not here.
Right.
And I started telling him, it's important that I get time with you by yourself and you get time with me by yourself and Daddy get time with Joey by yourself and vice versa. Because we're not always going to always be together.
We're not always gonna always be together.
We're not always gonna be together.
I got you.
I
got you. Yeah,
we're not always gonna be together, especially as you mature in your individuality. Like we're always, it's really like the literal manifestation of interconnectedness. The interconnectedness and interdependence is like a healthy orientation to self and others. And we're kind of conditioned unintentionally to either be super independent, isolated, I don't want help from nobody, I don't get resources from nobody, or dependent, like my happiness is based upon my connection to you. So you really want to be able to like honor and appreciate the family unit, but also be comfortable if that changes is in any way.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying?
I got you. Let's take a quick break real quick.
We could do that.
Let's take a quick break.
Oh, shut up. Who you talking? No, I'm messing with you. Look, I'm in the gym by myself. Listen, I know some of you all have some goals. Some of you all feel like you've been stuck. Some of y'all feel like you're ready to go to your next level. And if you're ready to do that, make sure you go to purposeoverdreams.com. I have a free resource for you, and you'll gain access to my masterclass. Take care.
All right, so, okay, I get what you're saying in terms of, in a way like the expectation of our kids and the evolution in a sense where it's not always going to be the way in which they thought when they were little, right?
Yeah, children can't, nobody can expect things to always be the same. Well, what is that statement? I don't even know what it is, but it's something around like everything changes. It's something about how everything changes all the time.
Right.
So children you don't want to orient your children to this expectation or this pressure that everything always stays the same. Things evolve and change all the time. And sometimes they do for the better. And when they do in ways that are really hard or really challenging, I personally want my children to have a resilience about them that helps them navigate hard things.
And you think they do?
I do. Okay. I think they do. I've watched that.
Yeah.
I mean, emotional intelligence. I've watched them mature and evolve and change in certain ways. I don't think it's perfect, but yeah.
Okay.
So
I could agree. I think we have some. Even though I feel like sometimes they've had a more bougie life.
They definitely
have. I have, and rightfully so. Like I believe your kids should live better than you, right? But then it's also, I think they've also had a lot of experiences that I didn't have.
Right.
I didn't grow up seeing a whole lot of like family deaths. You know what I'm saying? Until later on in life, and now they've seen a lot. You know what I'm saying? And not just random people, but people that they were connected to. right? Family members that they were connected to, right?
I had, now we really talking about like on a very literal level, till death do you part. Because I had a quick convo with Joey yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the updates that you've given and the nurses have given about Gammy, Joey, I didn't even say anything to him about it. But when I came home yesterday, he said he missed me. And I was like, of course I missed you. I missed Joey. I missed Carter. I missed Daddy. I missed Nana. I missed Good. And he was like, yeah, you need to go see Nana. You need to go talk to Nana. And I was like, why you say it like that or something? And he goes, she's just, you know, I think her time is coming. Like, this is our 11-year-old. And he literally said it this way. He's like, I think her time is coming. And I said, well, why do you think that? And I know you had already talked to them about it, but he said her voice sounds different.
Yeah.
Like, he can see how her voice is changing and her body's changing. Yeah. And I said, well, how do you feel about that? And he goes, well, you know, she's lived a long life. And, you know, we've had a couple of miracles. And, you know, because back in September, when we had an incident with Gam where we really thought she had passed away.
Yeah.
But clearly she didn't. And we had a conversation with the boys then. And back then he said, can we pray? And I said, of course. And he did a prayer and he asked for a miracle. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to now, all these months later, he was kind of like regulating his own emotion. Yeah. He was like, you know, I was just like, okay. So, you know, in that regard, that is a very literal anticipation of death.
For sure.
So, yeah, I think children adjust if we demonstrate for them that life can be worth living even when it's hard or even when things change.
Yeah. So, man, you just made me think about something.
Uh-oh.
And, okay, so do you remember, and I think this was a couple years ago, it was a guy, his wife, I think, had dementia.
Okay. And
she was declining, and he was taking care of his wife.
Ooh.
But then he had a girlfriend that moved in.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
I think so. Was this on like...
It was on like social media. It was real popular, but like, when you think about till death do us part, does that mean if someone is on their way out in the physical realm, does that mean you sit around until that happens before you go find like some respite or some, you know,
that is a spicy topic.
I'm just saying, like, what do you do? Because I'm trying to figure out. Like,
can you move your girlfriend in?
I'm just saying.
I'm thinking.
Active thinking.
No, I'm serious. Like, because I think the reality too is sometimes you really don't know what is most genuine until you're in a situation. You really don't know.
Okay.
With that said, I am becoming less and less threatened, not completely, but I am becoming less and less threatened and less bothered by other people's choices. Because I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be anxious. I really want to enjoy what there is available for me to enjoy. Yeah. And so that doesn't mean I'm not impacted or bothered by things, but I think like at the end of the day, in a scenario like that, like I'm on let me put myself in the shoes. I'm literally on my deathbed and my life partner is taking care of me, expresses compassion and love for me. He's not negligent. You're not being negligent or harmful. You're not being deceptive or mean. Like, you're there for me. But I am unable to be there for you in a certain way. And I'm about to die. I genuinely want the people that I love to have joy in their life. Like, you hear this in a different way. You hear people talking about if their mate or their partner dies, can they go marry someone else or be with someone else? Absolutely. Yeah. I would, if something happened to me, I am saying for the public, I would want Joe. I would want you to have love again. I would want that for you. I would want that for my children. I would want them to see their father experience another valuable dimension of life. I do not feel bothered by that.
You won't be here no way.
Right, but some people really be feeling a way. Like, you better not go, what?
Yeah.
You dead.
And I think the
like,
damn, you harsh.
I'm just saying, if that's not controlling, I don't know what is.
Right. No, but I think that's a good point. Is there a certain time line that it's like, you better wait 2 weeks, you better wait 6 months, you better wait?
Naturally it gets a little interesting if it's been like, if the new boo was at the funeral, it's like, where are you? Wait a minute, y'all didn't just meet yesterday. But in the case that you're talking about, maybe the new boo is at the funeral because you was living in the house while she had dementia.
Yeah. So we're taking it literally in that case, right?
Ooh, this is complicated.
I'm just saying, because we talked about, the literal, and we talked about, right, the poetic or
like
the
figurative in
figurative,
a way.
right?
Yeah.
And so, imagine if the same scenario, but it wasn't physically. She wasn't physically dying, but she was doing something, or he was doing something to kill the relationship.
Well, then y'all should just break up. Maybe. I don't know.
It's a lot, right?
This is getting confusing.
But it's a lot. I get what you're saying.
I need a snack.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so let's get. I kind of took us off. So let me get to my question. Right? Because I think as we're talking about Till Death Do Us Part, we're talking about like the impact of our children, like all this stuff. I think one of the things that I wrote down is, when we were having this brief conversation, I started to think about, well, how are we supposed to argue? I'm gonna start there. Like, how are people supposed to have discussions, disagreement? Like, when you think about that, because things often lead up to other things, right?
Right.
So when you think about just communication, because we obviously that's been a big thing in terms of not only our relationship, obviously the podcast, right? Communication. How does one communicate in a way in which it works to either move forward or agree to disagree? Because I don't think we talk about that enough.
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody knows how to communicate very well.
Okay.
Like anyone.
Make sure you speak into your mic.
Talk about communicating, right? I don't think anybody has mastered the art of communication. No one. And to assume or believe that you have or you can, I think is a recipe for disaster. We're all works in progress. We're all trying to find more effective ways of expressing ourselves and of being in communion with other people.
Yeah.
So, perfection is not attainable. And I think one of the things I talk about all the time in therapy, and then it comes out in other places, is, and you hear this, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? And even like, and there's the based upon the nature of the relationship you're having, that looks different from relationship to relationship,
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody can fully master it. I do think these are the terms that come to mind: strong emotional intelligence, like good self-awareness, insight.
Wait, because everybody likes to use these words that are getting tossed around.
Okay, I'll break it down.
And people don't even know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's like, they need to get their emotional intelligence up. You don't even know what that means. You just heard it. Not you. I'm just saying.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So when you say emotional intelligence, what does that mean?
So good self-awareness, like insight.
Okay.
Like, why do I think this thing? Why do I feel this thing? Where is this coming from? And it's not like you're self-interrogating yourself. It's more from the perspective of like enlightenment. Like, what is this? What are the dots? Let me connect the dots for myself. And then do I have the skill set to then express it in a way that's direct and clear and kind and compassionate, not passive aggressive or whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of in a nutshell.
So emotional intelligence.
Right. That's in a nutshell.
Okay.
So it's like, and then, another term, emotional regulation. How do you self-soothe?
Right. When something goes down, do you have the ability or capacity to woosah in a sense?
Well, that would be distress tolerance. So distress tolerance is, do you have the capacity? Like, how much how capable I am of tolerating discomfort and distress.
Okay.
And that is impacted by things like sleep, food, hydration, climate, vitamin D, the sun. So there's things that impact this.
Yeah, you sound smart. Go ahead. Keep going.
My distress, my tolerance for distress in an optimal environment.
Yeah.
I'm getting sun. I've had a good sleep. I've had food. I have no physical pain.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a correlation. My tolerance for distress is higher.
Right.
Right. I'm not as reactive.
Okay.
Right. So that's distress tolerance.
One thing you missing, sex. Right.
Stress relief, and one way to relieve stress is sex. There are other ways of relieving stress. Anywho,
working out, gym, all that stuff. Yeah, I know.
Breathing.
I was being funny, but
right. That is one.
Yeah.
With all that said, that's the capacity part.
For sure.
But then the expression part, or like the internalization part, like what's happening inside my body, is the regulation. How do I regulate my emotion? How do I, how do I execute? Right? So those are the things that I think. Oh, and then of course, the older you are, the more you accumulate perspectives and assumptions and values and attitudes and beliefs about things.
Yeah.
So all of that is going to impact how you communicate.
Okay. So with that said, once again, we have emotional intelligence. Would you say emotional distress? Or distress tolerance?
Yeah, distress tolerance, emotional regulation, your trauma history, like your upbringing, what you've been through. Yeah.
We're missing one. Emotional, how we internalize.
Yeah, that would be the regulation.
The regulation and the distress.
Right.
There it is. Okay. So with that said, when you think about your life, the way in which you've been able to communicate or not communicate, the disagreements we've had, just all of that, how do you think you are, and does it work in the way in which we communicate?
As it relates to communication?
Communication.
Oh, I'm perfect.
Perfectly terrible.
I'm just playing. I think that we are mature in a way, but no, like I said before, nobody masters this. I can't. And this is a demonstration of self-awareness and emotional intelligence, right? I know that when I feel harmed or hurt or triggered, I can be passive-aggressive. A passive-aggressive form of communication is not effective. But I'm not a perfect human being. I'm imperfectly perfect, right?
Okay.
So it's like, but you got to recognize that. So it's like, okay, so sometimes it's really trying to figure out, okay, how am I energetically, like how am I showing up in the home? And then the passive aggressive stuff, and then there's another term too that's really important.
What?
The double bind communication thing.
Oh, you throwing them counseling?
I'm just saying that's another part of this. Am I saying one thing but I'm saying another thing?
Right.
Am I saying like you look nice?
Yeah. Yep. But that's when you're able to pay attention to the nonverbals.
Girl, you look so cute. Girl, you cute. You think yeah. Like, dang, like, wait, I don't know if you sound like you're complimenting me, but energetically, I really think you're throwing shade.
Yeah.
So, and this shows up with our children a lot too. Like,
oh, wait. That's like, I'm beating you because I love you. Wait, what?
I'm so confused.
wait a minute, so.
Right, wait, what? What? And I think the intention, and this is another thing that gets us jacked up with communication. Our intentions matching our words, matching our affects, the way we look, matching our behavior, like what's happening.
Yeah.
Do they all match? So that's where the whippings and stuff come into play, because the intention is usually good. Like I don't know.
I want to correct what you did wrong, so you understand that wasn't right.
Right.
And then it turns into something else internally and mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
It ends up backfiring on you, because
sure.
that is absolutely not the message that the baby's getting.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that.
So answer the question.
I think I think I'm a work in progress, but I do think that I'm comfortable with the way that I communicate at this stage of my life. I think that I'm very, very introspective. So even if I don't get it right in this moment, I'm going to think it. I'm going to think it through. I'm going to, where did I go wrong? Could I have said that different? Was that a kind way to say it? Almost to a deficit, So I think I'm maturing just like everybody else.
I would give you.
Oh, you want to rank me?
I would give you
on a scale of 0 to 10?
No, I'm giving you A, B, C, D.
Oh, you're going to give me a grade. Okay.
I'm gonna grade you and give you a C-.
Really? Why?
Because you suck. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with this. This is what I will say. I think one of the things that I can appreciate about the relationship that we've had is the way in which we have communications, even though it's not always the best way,
right?
But it's not wrapped in toxicity,
right?
Right? It's not wrapped in a lot of you mother or F you, blah, 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 blah. It's not wrapped in that, even though sometimes we don't have the best type of communication.
Right.
But at least I can say the way in which we do argue or the way in which we do, have dialogue with each other isn't wrapped in malice or like it's not wrapped in like this FU energy. You know what I mean? We
have had experiences where we have hurt each other unintentionally, but we never harm.
Right.
Like we never harm. Like we've never had these intentional, like you hurt, like weaponize, like when people weaponize their language, it is just there's so much, it's so detrimental. Like this person hurt me, so I'm now about to hurt you back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's contempt. Oh, it really is damaging.
And that's one of the issues that some people have in regards to like when you choose and work on being vulnerable with somebody who you love and now they've earned your trust, and so now you're sharing and sharing. Then they take that information and they weaponize it and they hit you with it. Like later on, you like, yeah, what just happened? You know what I'm saying?
But you know what's tricky about this? This is why communication is so hard. Everybody talks about how you got to have good communication, and nobody has good communication. In a sense, nobody's perfect. What's unfortunate about what you're saying is the way in which we perceive information is trauma informed too.
Yeah. So
even if I am doing my best to, as the person like actively communicating, even if I'm doing my best, the way the recipient interprets what I'm saying is also going to be influenced by things outside of me.
For sure.
And that's why the emotional intelligence is important. That internal processing is important so that you can take ownership for what you're bringing to the conversation. I always talk about shared accountability. Like, did I hear you in alignment with what your intention was? Did I hear you right? Like, this has come up with us before, and it's come up with many people where it's like, it might be something simple like, do you like this outfit? It's all right. You saying I look ugly? What? Yeah, like that's not what I. We've gone through that where you're like, that's not what I said, and then I gotta be like, okay.
Yeah. And then you can't ask for my opinion, and then I give it, and then you like.
Right, but you see how complex and complicated this is because, like I said, with the double bind, because I might not even be reacting to the word, I might be reacting to the energy.
For sure.
So, do you like this? It's all right. Okay, wait, is he talking about the outfit? Is he talking about me? Like, is he like what is that?
And this is,
so people, we're carrying a lot. Human beings, be kind to yourselves and each other.
We are, and I think just to add to that, I think sometimes a lot of us, we've been through so much. The way in which we receive any type of information, whether it's in a dialogue, an argument, discussion, no matter what, somebody could send you an email. That's why you look at text sometimes and people go crazy.
And people
right?
just be
They
losing it.
They go crazy, right? And so I think what's very important though is, the ability to have some insight, right? And some self-reflection. And, when it comes to communication, when you're dealing with somebody that does not have the capacity or ability to take accountability, right? And sometimes that takes a while, right? And sometimes to be able to see yourself takes a while, especially when you're so angry or you're hurt or you're upset or you're just in all of it, right? And so I think what's so important is to, work on that ability to self-reflect and really think about, okay, what does this mean? What are they saying? How am I taking this? Right? How do I hear this? Is the way that I'm hearing this the right way? Right? Or am I hearing this from when I was a child? This and this happened to me, or am I hearing it from I'm an adult? Okay, it's not what I feel or what, you know what I mean? But that's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
Very, very. Yeah. It's 99% of what I do in my role, in a role as a psychologist. It's 99% of what I do is to reflect what people are giving me. So people are sharing their stories with me. My job is to reflect it back to them on a deeper level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And then kind of coach and walk them through deepening, maturing, and broadening a level of insight, right? The text message thing you said is so funny because relationships will be disrupted over a text message conversation. And people will read their text message interactions with me and then tell me how they filled in the story. Yeah. And I'm like, so that's what the ... meant? And then the ... and then they sent this emoji, and you just filled it all in. Yeah. And I said, well, did you ask? Did you check this out? Yeah, we're not talking right now. So you didn't even go back and say, like, what does this mean? Or you didn't even go back and say, are you being funny? Because I'm thinking you being funny. Are you being funny? And then that person gets to say, nah, girl, call me or whatever.
Yeah, but that's why, emails, text, stuff can be just taken out of context so much. It is tricky. And so I think I think my question then is, from our time together, how would you grade me?
Oh, I'm gonna let you know. But let me go back though. And then you know what else people do? And then to your point about accountability, it's very hard for us to see ourselves, all of us. That's why I have my own therapist, because I can't see everything. Yeah. So it's like, and then the reciprocal nature of this experience. So then when your homegirl takes your text the wrong way, you mad at her. She's sensitive, or she petty, or she this. Yeah. Like, you were just mad at her for the same thing 2 weeks ago. She took what you're saying wrong. Is it not possible that you took what she was saying as wrong? For sure. So as far as grading you, ranking you, I can't give you a letter grade. I would just...
Why not?
Because I don't know. I don't think that really encapsulates like anything of value. Now, see, this is interesting. What we're talking about.
It doesn't encapsulate value?
This is very interesting what's even happening right now. Okay. You are very achievement oriented and success oriented. Not that I'm not, but
I was just asking.
Nah, but you want a grade, don't you?
I mean, it would be nice, but I'm not tripping. I didn't get good grades.
You're a 3. So You're a 3 on the Enneagram. You're the achiever.
You talking to me like I grew up getting good grades. I didn't get no good grades.
It's not that, no, but you orient yourself to success. Like, you orient yourself to like achievement and being success. Better? Yes, and that's not a bad thing, but I'm saying the part of you that wants that is connected to that.
Well, I kind of just wanted to hear how you would, what you would say.
I would say...
So I don't need the grade, but how you say it the way you would say it.
I would say that I'm very proud of the way you've matured over the course of our relationship. And then I would say you still have plenty of work to do. And I think the reason I feel like you have plenty of work to do, as I do as well, is because I think that I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it's connected to. It could be connected to trauma. It could be connected to achievement as well. That when things are hurtful, hurtful, or disruptive, I feel like it really knocks you off your square a little bit. And that impacts the way you perceive information. Does that make sense?
I guess it makes sense. I think that, wouldn't that be all of us?
Yeah, I just said that. I said that's true for me too.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I think so. But you're asking how I feel about you. I don't think what I'm saying is unique to you.
Okay. I get it. No, I get it. Because it does. I think I know one of the things for me, just in this moment, I'm just thinking about, like, I think I try my best to be good to people. I think when I get hurt, it does go deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It goes pause, right? But it's a deep level of hurt for me. And I think also when you've gone through a lot of things, like I never want to go back to a way that I felt, when you're in a deep hole of hurt.
It's almost like a self-preservation in a way, like a self-protection, which totally makes sense. I mean, I think too that, like, one thing I will say is I feel like vulnerability is something that you have, I keep using the word matured, but like grown in a lot over the years.
For sure.
And I think in the beginning, I think there have been periods in our relationship where I like, the other part of this is when you've been with somebody a long time and you accumulate histories, good and bad, it conditions you to interacting with someone a certain way. So then when people change, even if it's for the better, it takes time to get used to that new person. And so I think one of the things that I think has created some conflict in our marriage and our relationship is a feature of that, where you have matured a lot in your ability to communicate in a vulnerable way, which is something I've always wanted. But I think when you get it, it's a little like, like it's different. It feels different. It looks different. And for me, there have been times where it felt either disingenuous or inauthentic. So then even if your intention is good, I'm not receiving it the right way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that comes, and I see this in therapy where sometimes we're coaching people to like go to another level of maturity. And when they start trying to do that, they're like, this doesn't feel like me. This doesn't sound like me. I feel fake, or I feel phony. Like it kind of is clumsy. It comes out clumsy or weird, or it doesn't sound genuine. It's because it's unfamiliar. It doesn't mean that it's disingenuous. It just means you're not used to hearing it or saying it, or you don't know the right words because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
And then the people around you respond to that. They're like, I ain't never heard you say that before. You playing, Well,
and this is the hard truth, especially for, interactions between men and women, specifically. Because what I used to hear a lot of times is like, men need to be more open. They need to be more vulnerable. They need to share their feelings more, and blah 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 blah. Right? Like back in the day, after a while, it was blah 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 blah. It was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, and had more experiences and started to understand, how humans and how we operate, I was like, man, okay, I kind of understand this vulnerability thing and this being a little bit more open thing, because before, when you're going through a lot, you think people are going to use what you share against you.
Right.
And so you're kind of like, I don't want to share nothing. Or you thought it was weak, so you didn't really want to share nothing. And I'm speaking like what I learned as growing up as a boy, evolving into a man. It was like, if you share those things, you soft, you weak. Like, suck it up, get through it, right? But what is important for people to know, especially in relationships, is that, if a woman wants her man, and I am no relationship guru, nothing like that. So let me just, contextualize this. But if a woman wants her man to be more open, be more vulnerable, right? Talk about their feelings, all that fun stuff. It takes work. But when they do it, and then the way in which the woman takes it and maybe throws it back in their face or disrespects it, that's a hard place to come back from, because you feel like, man, I did what I did, like what I'm supposed to do in terms of being open and, talking about my feelings more. And then when you feel like somebody took that and ripped it, it's just hard to come back from that. Not saying it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
But it's a deep, it's like a cut and a twist the other way. You know what I mean? And it's, coming back from that, it's hard. And then even having communication and arguing or having disagreements, as you said, now you're hearing things differently that's not what it is. But because you've been impacted in this way, sometimes it can be hard to communicate the most effectively, when it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? So,
I think the bottom line here is to honor, like everybody talks about vulnerability and vulnerable communication, but to be able to honor it when it's gifted to you.
For sure.
And I also think this is where grace is important, because also recognizing that one of the things that inhibits that honor is history.
Oh, shut up. Who you talk? No, I'm messing with you. Look, I'm in the gym by myself. Listen, I know some of you all have some goals. Some of you all feel like you've been stuck. Some of y'all feel like you're ready to go to your next level. And if you're ready to do that, make sure you go to purposeoverdreams.com. I have a free resource for you, and you'll gain access to my masterclass. Take care.
Yeah.
Sometimes that makes it difficult. Like, there's so many, what is the data? 90% of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
So there's so many things, so many variables and nuances, and there's so many contributing variables to information and how we process information. And we're all navigating this.
For sure.
So I think that there's some gender and some racial considerations to have, but I also feel like we're all trying to figure that out. We're all doing that,
Yeah. No, that's real. And, I think when it's all said and done, I think it's just important for individuals to communicate, because you can't practice or work on getting better at communication if you're not communicating with each other.
Right.
And one of the worst things to happen is for people just to stop communicating, and then it can really get ugly.
And this is the thing. We're always communicating.
Yeah, even when we're not saying
yes,
nothing.
you can't stop communicating,
Yeah,
because even like stopping communicating is communicating.
Just
it's like
energetically, you can feel it. You can
it's like
feel it.
shutting down.
Yep.
Or stonewalling.
Yeah.
Or, the passive aggressive thing.
You pointed at yourself?
I own that has been a feature of my style.
No, but
yes.
I just thought you did like this.
I did.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking.
I did.
Look, communicate. I'm just clarifying.
No, but with that said, but I think that's a part of it. I know that.
Yeah.
Like, I have never, ever professed to be perfect. Ever.
Right.
So, yes, that is a thing. But not so much anymore. So it's like sometimes, again, you're experienced a certain way, and then even when you evolve or you change, you're still experienced a certain way. You're still experienced the way you were once experienced. And it's because of the self-preservation. Like if I am threatened by something or something is harmful to me, my body does what my body is supposed to do. It creates an association. So now I am going to interact with you in that way, even if you change.
Yeah. And
it requires a lot of effort to like undo. I go through this with you a lot, where like sometimes we'll be going through something or navigating something, and inside I'm reacting as if you were the Joe of 5 years ago. And I have to, in my mind, be like, no, that's not fair. That's not accurate. You have new data. Like, I be nerding out like this. I literally in my head have to like recircuit we call it creating new neural pathways. I have to recircuit myself so that I respond to you more appropriately. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I'll give a case in point. I might say in my head, you might do something or say something. I'll be like, oh, Joe's so selfish. Oh, he's so selfish. He's always so selfish. All he does is think about himself. Da, 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 in my head. And then I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. Joe's very considerate of you. Joe cares about you deeply. Joe is a human being. Maybe he made a mistake. You know, I gotta do that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. And that's across the board. That's not just in romantic relationships. It's friendships with your family, work stuff, like across the board. And I think, you know, as we talk about till death do us part, right, and define what that is, and now we're talking a little bit about how do you argue, how do you have discussions, right? Because until death do us part, whatever that may mean, right? There's different types of communication that's going to happen, and hopefully it evolves. You never know. But I think what's most important, like I said earlier, is that you continue to communicate and communicate about how you communicate. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we doing this? Is this working? Is it not working? What needs to be better? And sometimes you can't do that on your own. Like, you got to have somebody walk you through, you know, and say, hey, try it this way. Try this, you know, because once again, we can't see ourselves all the time, you know? And then sometimes it's the situation is so funky that it's just, we can't help each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, with that said, any last thing in terms of, you know, how do you argue or how do you communicate, anything? Because I got another question as we move forward in this till death do us part.
I think the only thing I will reinforce, because I said it a couple episodes ago, the only thing I will reinforce is that effective communication is not synonymous. It doesn't mean the same thing as feel good.
Yeah.
Like, people think that being really nice makes it like an effective or a good conversation. Some of the most effective conversations are actually quite tense or uncomfortable or maybe even hurtful, because not harmful, but hurtful because they're authentic.
Right.
When we do like group therapy, one of the things I always let people know is I said, I'll know that we are really in our stride when there's conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason I'll know that is because all the niceties are no longer an option. Like, people aren't just like keeping it politically correct. They're actually saying what they really think and what they really feel. And if somebody says something they don't like, they're like, girl, no, that, you know, that's crazy. So it might be like assumptions that we have to work through, but conflict isn't necessarily bad. And effective communication is not always comfortable.
So for just example, as before we move forward, like if I said something like, you know, good morning, I love them shorts. Your breath smells. How would that feel? Or if I was like, God damn, your breath smell like ass. Like,
I would be like, for real, like, all of that was not necessary. You could easily be like, babe, you a little tart, you know.
But you talk about like hurt and harm, right? I've heard you say that a few times.
Yeah.
I think it's important to kind of like, and I don't know if that was a specific example of like hurting your feelings or doing some like harm. Like, I think you should break that down, because you mentioned hurt, harm several times. I was trying to give a playful example, but of just communication where it's not like yelling or snapping, but like you saying something calm, but it's still hurtful.
Well, yeah, and that would be hurtful.
Yeah.
But harm is a lot more, like exactly what you said. But harm isn't even just aggressive. Like, sometimes it's very manipulative.
Okay. And is it repetitive? Would you say it's repetitive? Like harm, would you say harmful is like it happens more than...
Yeah, cyclical in a way.
Yeah,
I think that is one aspect of harm.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but the example you gave would feel a little hurtful.
Gotcha.
And a little like...
And if I did it over and over again, it would become harmful.
If you did it over and over again with me telling you, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like when you talk to me like that.
I got you.
And then you keep doing it. Now it's like, no, that's very harmful. And it's not even just what you're saying. It's the fact that you're not you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
You're not taking into consideration my comfort. I remember you used to say something way back in the day. You would say, I would be upset about something or be kind of quote unquote sensitive about something. And you'd be like, you're in your feelings.
Oh, you in your feelings.
You're in your feelings. Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da.
yeah.
And I'm like, you don't say that to me. Don't dismiss or denigrate my feelings. I only had to say, you don't ever say that to me.
Right.
That was like years ago.
Yeah.
So that was like a hurtful thing. But I also took accountability for letting you know that that's not okay for me. Mm-hmm. And then you were very considerate and compassionate, like, my bad, because your intention was never to harm me.
Right.
And that's not a thing anymore. You know, so it's like that. I think that you're right. The cyclical disregard is what's most harmful.
I got you.
And then you also take into consideration the other person, because you're learning people. You and the people you're closest to, y'all rib each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like, y'all tease each other and rib each other all the
Some call
time.
it joning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's what.
So
I'm from Milwaukee. That's what we do. If you from the mill and you can't take a joke or give a joke, you better get away from us, because we could joke about anything.
Well, I don't like that.
Why you don't like it?
I just don't like it.
Why?
Because I just don't. Why do you like it?
Because we could jump right into it. Like, I could say, man, look at you. What, you about to go praise dance with your little shirt on?
Okay, but what I just told you, we're going to demonstrate effective communication is I don't like it. So then your job is to not degrade it, because...
No, I get you.
Yeah, and I know you're messing around, but like, to your point, like, it's kind of like, why you don't? Well, why do you? Like, there's nothing wrong here. That's the way you communicate and you have camaraderie with your people. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I don't do that.
And I think that's a great point. Like, I had to tell this white guy one time. I heard him on a court, and I thought I heard him. He was like, I think he said the N word, right? And I'm like, nah, he didn't say it. Then I heard him say it again, and I had to go up to him and say, listen. I said, listen, don't. I had to get real stern. Like, I said, don't disrespect me, but more importantly, don't disrespect yourself. And he said, man, I grew up, blah blah blah. I said, but these ain't your people. Like, you might have grew up and they let you say that back in the day, but you're not in that environment.
Right.
I said, so that can get you in a situation that you might not be able to handle, right? So I had to break it down to him. So to your point, right, yeah, like, I'm from the mill, we rib, that's what we do. But I also got to understand, like, if folks ain't from where I'm from and that ain't how they move, you know, communicate accordingly.
That's right.
Yeah, so to the point. All right, cool. Because we about to wind this thing down. But I do got just two questions, all right? Because I think
he done pulled his notes out.
Yeah, because I think oftentimes, do we need a break, y'all? Do we need a break? Okay. I think oftentimes, because we're talking about till death do us part, and I'm just aspects of it, right? So we kind of define, you know, what does that actually mean? Now we were talking communication, and now I think one of the things that people often talk about is, like, you know, here are some ways to try to keep your relationship together or spicy or whatever it might be. But is there a right way to uncouple?
Not via text. I ain't done with your ass.
Uncouple, break up. Is there a right way to do that? And you could probably add some context to it. You know, a 1-year relationship versus, like, you know, a 20-year relationship. You know what I'm saying? So what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't think we talk about how that happens. So often you hear, oh, it was messy, it was this. Like, is there a way to uncouple, break up, whatever, however you want to name it?
I really honestly don't know. I think that there is no one right way. Mm-hmm. I don't think there is no one wrong way. Yeah. I think that some of those variables do matter. The duration of time, the nature of the relationship, whatever. Like, we're in an era where people are dating in a very casual way, and like social media, and the primary form of communication is text message and chats and DMs and this kind of indirect way of communicating. So if you just start dating someone and you realize we're not a good fit, or I'm really not feeling this person, doing that via text seemed like in alignment with the culture of the relationship to begin with.
Right.
So even that is probably a variable. Like, maybe that's not a no-no. You know, you've only dated someone a few times, y'all met in the arena where text message and DMs is the way you communicate. Maybe that's not bad.
Okay.
It's certainly better than ghosting. It's kind of like, you know, it's been nice knowing you, but I don't think we're all that compatible.
But
like, I wish you the best, you know?
It's a time to ghost. I think
You think so?
There's a time, because sometimes, people don't take the hint
don't
of
respect.
like it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes your silence and no longer coming around, no longer speaking, like that speaks louder than what you've been saying.
Well, but I don't even see that as ghosting. I see that as like, I done tried to tell you,
But I think, once again, remember, like, intention and how people receive. Some people would receive that as ghosting.
Yeah, because they didn't catch the hint.
Yeah.
Or they didn't take. Yeah, that's true.
But like, like if I just up and just vanish, disappear, that's ghosting.
In a very real way, sir.
You know
17 years.
You know what I'm saying? So I think like that's real, right? And so when you think about, like, are there any things that's like a must if you're on the way to uncoupling or breaking up?
I think the only must is you have to express you got to express how you're feeling.
Okay.
Like, I think, and take ownership for how you're feeling. And I don't mean just like, you don't give me enough attention, you don't pay any of the bills, you. I think it has to be more like, I'm very dissatisfied in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel cared for in the way that I need to feel cared for.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you have to try as best as you can to get really clear about what it is that's disrupting the relationship or making you want to leave the relationship or uncouple. And then you got to take ownership for that.
I got you.
I think that's the only must. And I think what makes it really difficult is most of us aren't clear about that.
Yeah.
And that's why there is statistics. There's data that says in marriages that by the time marriage is actually divorced, it was kind of in the making for years ahead anyway. It wasn't like super duper abrupt. Like when most divorced couples look back over their recent years together, you could see where they started to uncouple, like as a process, more so than a choice, more of like a process. So I think that's what makes it challenging, especially in the traditions of till death do you part. Because it's like, well, sickness and health. Well, maybe this is just the sickness season. Or rich or poor. Well, we are just poor right now, and so we're stressed out. And so maybe those tensions, like a commitment to the commitment, I think sometimes makes it hard for people.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I also would add, and sometimes I'm thinking just like my experience as a man, and so sometimes I think that the idea when you're with somebody for a long time, and back in the day, like 2 years felt long, right? But when you're with somebody, for a while, and it's a possibility that you might uncouple or break up, I think what happens is it's the mental fear of not being with that person and them being with somebody else that really takes you out. Right. And I think when you get to a point where when you ask yourself, right, what's best for me in order to live the life of peace and flow and really being able to just like live a life where there's you'll be like, everything I did what I was supposed to do. Right. When you get to that point, that's when there's a little less worry of all the other stuff, right? There's a little less worry. And, I think the more and more experiences that I have and understanding of the life that I desire to have, the easier, it's not easy, but the easier it gets for me to release certain thoughts and ideas out of my mind when it comes to anything that has to do with relationships. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, in our situations specifically, like I'm not as much just over here like, oh my God, I can't. Like there was a point in time in my life where I'm like, ain't no, no.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think as we've gone through so much stuff, we have the conversation of like, I think I asked you the other day, I said, are you scared to lose me or lose yourself? You remember that? Mm-hmm. And you said yourself.
Right.
And I think those are the conversations individuals must have with themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that is a healthier orientation to life.
Yeah. For sure.
Even if it's a sad one or a hard one, I think that's a healthier orientation to life.
Yeah.
And I think I could say that I think that I've been conditioned over the course of my life, and I could see this in others too, because we romanticize companionship in a way that's really kind of unfortunate. Nobody can live up to the hype. Nobody can live up to our ideals of like love and marriage.
Yeah.
Like we're human beings trying to coexist together and grow together. If you haven't read it, it's a solid read, All About Love,
Bell Hooks.
And there's many other really good ones too, but that's a really great one. It's like we have been seduced into labeling love when it's really infatuation. Or labeling something as love when it's really a codependence. Or labeling it love when it's really, quite frankly, what Bell Hooks calls cathexis, which is an experience of chemistry that you could have with many different people.
Okay.
And everybody's looking for a chemistry and passion. And equating that to love, it can be a feature of love, but it isn't love in and of itself. So, I think what you're describing and what I was saying, I think is a healthier orientation to companionship and like self-love. Love is not sacrificing your soul for another. That's ridiculous.
Right.
So with all that said,
There is no right way. There is no wrong way. If you're, breaking up or uncoupling, like there's, hopefully you do it in a way where you're not being malicious. Hopefully you do it in a way where there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of introspection and reflection and ownership and accountability. And so, till death do us part. It's a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
It's a lot. Till death do us part. It's a lot. All right. Last question before we do our takeaways.
Oh my word!
This is the last one.
You sound like me. One more thing.
No, this is the last one because I'm paying attention to time, and this one could be quick. When you talk about till death do us part, right? And say for instance, we're taking the poetic route of till death do us part, right? So no longer together in a romantic way or whatever.
But like kindred spirits.
But yeah, whatever it might be, right?
Okay.
The question is, can you be friends with your ex?
Oh, come on. Didn't we talk about this? Yeah, of course you can.
I think
so.
I think in this context of till death do us part, like we did talk about this before, but I think
yes.
Okay. And we talked about boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's clear. I just wanted to bring it back up. We don't even got to get into deep conversation.
Because
And let me just see if you change your mind. You change your mind? Let me
about
see.
what?
Oh, I'm just checking.
No, I think you can. I mean, I think some exes, sometimes you date someone or you deal with someone and you realize we're not compatible in that way, but you still bring value to my life. Yeah. I still like you. I still enjoy your company. I want you to win. I think you're a great person. Like why would I, you bring a richness to my life. It just wasn't in the form that we originally intended. Okay. The problem with stuff like this is usually boundaries or difficulty with processing your own emotions or difficulty expressing
of the new person,
which is the same.
Both,
yeah,
or everybody.
Yeah, I don't. I'm friends with. You're friends with plenty of your exes. I'm friends with a couple. Who am I friends with?
Who am I friends with?
I think I'm friends with.
You ain't got to say no names. You about to give names.
You're friends with a couple of exes, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm cool.
You're cool with people.
Yeah.
You usually don't burn a lot of bridges.
I don't.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, you're cool with some of your exes. I'm trying to think. I think there's only like one that I'm cool with.
I don't know this individual.
Yes, you do.
Oh.
We hang out with them from time to time. Their kids support us. I'm cool with his wife.
Oh, okay. Right on. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Are you kidding me?
I know you're talking about.
They're good people.
Oh no, they are good people. I think, but I think like once again, that could be very uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we ain't got to get deep into it. I was just asking a question. We talking about till death do us part, and I think all of this talk that we've had today, like, you know, at some point, some people in their lives, they'll have an ex or will be the ex,
Right.
and you got to figure out how to function if there's still a mindset of till death do us part. It may not look like what it used to look like,
Right.
but they ain't died yet, and you ain't died yet, so there's still some type of connection there.
Or commitments, kind of.
Yeah. So with that said, what's your takeaway for the day? What's your takeaway?
Whew, that I'm stuck with you forever.
I mean, no matter, that's probably the case. No matter the situation,
It's exhausting to think about.
Trust me. Don't even take me there. But no, that's okay. I received that. I think my takeaway is, I think that's the question. What does till death do us part? Is not as simple as I think some people make it.
Yeah.
And I think that whether it's romantic relationships, friendships, like I'm even thinking about my boys, like what does till death do us part mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there anything that can rupture the type of connections me and my boys have? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, is there anything? And so like, I just think, you know, that question, we hear it all the time. People get married, till death do you part. But what does it actually mean? And now I'm going to process it some more and really think about it.
This is my most clear takeaway. I think I like what you're saying, and your language is sticking out to me. I think it might be useful for people to think about till death do us part, not just as a connection, but also a commitment.
Connection,
because the connection could change, and the even in a friendship, and the nature of the friendship could change. Yeah. But do I still have a commitment to you in a way,
right?
Like your well-being or your care? There are friends that the nature of the friendship has changed substantially over the years, so we don't talk every day. We don't hang out. We're not interested necessarily in the same things at this season of our life. Our schedules don't align. Yeah. You know, the way you communicate may be different than the way I communicate now. But so the connection has changed. However, if you were in a bind and you needed something, I would be there. Yeah. So the commitment is impenetrable. It will not go away, but the connection might change.
It adjusts, yeah. I like that. Well, with that said,
we've reached our destination.
Listen, we reached our destination. No, but real talk, make sure you all follow, like, subscribe. Make sure you're watching the full episode. Share these with a friend, and just make sure that you give us some feedback. What is it that you all want us to talk about? What is it that you want to hear? What is it, some questions that you have, right? So just make sure, once again, you like, follow, subscribe. And today, as we always do, just know you've just been taken for a hell of a ride. We out.
All right. After every episode, we always want to make sure that you have a challenge, something that you can engage with us upon. So the challenge for the day is...
It's on me?
It's on you.
All right, cool. So the challenge for the day is we really want you all to reflect and think about the relationships that you do have, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendships, your parents, whoever. Think about those relationships and think about, what does till death do us part actually mean in those relationships, right? Think about commitment. Think about the connections you have. Just think about what that truly means, because sometimes folks are not going to be in our lives the way that they're in our lives in the present day, right? right? It might change. So think about that. Is there anything you want to add?
Nope.
Think about
Do a little
that.
assessment.
Yep. And make sure you comment below, talk to us. Make sure you share what you're thinking about because we're looking forward to hearing from you. All right? Y'all take care.